Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Chelsea's 25-26 Premier League fixtures have been revealed. And we also have updates regarding Jamie Gittens, Morgan Rogers, Garnacho, Petrovic, Alfie Gilchrist, and a Premier League club wants Nicolas Jackson. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 10K by the end of 2025. Kicking things off, we have an exclusive at 9 AM this morning that dropped, and that is Chelsea's Premier League fixtures for the 25-26 season. Our first 5 Premier League fixtures are Crystal Palace at home, West Ham away, Fulham at home, Brentford away, and Manchester United away. Chelsea's opening day game against Crystal Palace will be on Sunday and will be shown on Sky Sports with a kickoff time of 2 PM. We also have the last 6 fixtures of the Premier League, which I thought was very interesting, seeing the bookends of the start and finish. We have Manchester United at home, Brighton away, Forest at home, Liverpool away, Spurs at home, and Sunderland away on the last day. Now, looking at these first 5 fixtures of the Premier League season, I feel very, very confident, Crystal Palace can be a bit of a bogey fixture on the away front, but typically at home, it's still a difficult game, but I feel like we can get the 3 points there. Palace had a fantastic season last season, obviously winning the FA Cup, so it's a very interesting first round draw. And also, the last few seasons we've had top of the table. We've had Man City and teams like that, so it's just very nice to not have someone like Liverpool, City, Arsenal on the first game of the season. So I feel like it will be a tough game, but I do feel like we can get the 3 points there. West Ham away, again, it can be a tough fixture. However, last season we blew them away. I think it was 3-1 in the end. So I feel like we can get the 3 points there. They didn't particularly have a good season last season. Fulham at home, again, it should be 3 points. Let's be honest, it should be 3 points. Last Christmas, obviously, we lost, which was just, first time we lost in 45 years to Fulham. It was just horrendous, a display of football. Yes, it was a last-minute winner type style game for Fulham, but essentially we should be winning that. Brentford away, for me, I called it last season when we had Brentford away. I said it was going to be a draw. It's just a tough fixture, so potentially a draw there. But Manchester United away, off the back of last season, how Manchester United are, depending on the sort of rebuild that they go through this summer, it should be 3 points for Chelsea, hopefully. So I'm predicting like 12 out of 15 points there. Sorry, not 12, 13 out of 15 if one's a draw. Obviously, you get a point for that. So 13 out of 15 is my predictions very, very early on. Obviously, we've still got the whole summer window to go, and things could change massively, So I'm hoping that Chelsea can start this strong. Obviously, I'm hoping for 5 out of 5. That would be amazing. 15 points out of the first 5 games would be incredible, but that's what I'm feeling. And when it comes to the last games of the season, Manchester United at home is typically the most drawn fixture between the two clubs. However, we did get it over the line at the end of this season, and I feel like depending on how the season goes, because again, at this point it's a wild speculation, right? Brighton away can be difficult. We should get that over the line. Forest at home, we don't know how they're going to be playing this season as well. So, look, if they had a season like they did the season just gone, and well, hopefully we can beat Forest at home. Liverpool away, very tough fixture. Obviously, we beat them at home. This season just finished. Away at Anfield is always a tough game for us. I think we drew last season. I'm not entirely sure. I think we drew, or we might have lost. I can't remember off the top of my head. But again, it's a tough fixture. Spurs at home should be winning that. And Sunderland away, we should be winning that too. So we should have a relatively good start and finish to the season. Obviously, the finish to the season depends on what happens in the middle of the season. Now, I'm not going to go through all the other fixtures. I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts and opinions down below on the first 5 games and the last 6 games of the season. Do you feel like Chelsea have got a relatively easy start and finish compared to the season just finished? Very curious to know your thoughts. Fabrizio Romano has reported that Chelsea and Borussia Dortmund remain in contact for Jamie Gittens with new bid to follow. Gittens only wants Chelsea and Dortmund are aware of his decision. It's now up to the clubs. Talks underway again. And to be fair, I feel we spoke about this in yesterday's video. I feel like this deal will get over the line relatively quickly as long as the clubs can agree a fee. I'm super excited to see someone like Jamie Gittens. I know we're obviously linked with Nusa. We're also linked with Fofana. Any of those 3, 2 of those 3, all of them. I don't care. I'm a greedy fan. We need some strengthening on that left-hand side, especially after Noni's last display. And obviously, you can't judge it on one display, right? But it was just a glaring, obvious, gaping hole of our squad that you could notice on that game against LAFC on that left-hand side. It was just, we need to strengthen there. I feel like the Gittens deal was going to happen. just a matter of time. I'm hoping that Chelsea can get this over the line as quickly as possible. Obviously, Gittens can't play in the Club World Cup because obviously he's playing for Dortmund and has played their game, so he's cup tied. However, if Chelsea can get this over the line, then we know what we're looking forward to. Like we know that left wing position has strengthened in some way. And then obviously if Chelsea go back into the market for a Nusa, for a Fofana, that would be unbelievable, because then we've got a really talented left-hand side. And the other player that they sign, whether it is a Nusa, whether it is a Fofana, I think they could be re-registered into the Club World Cup at the knockout stage. So we could potentially see that new signing come across if the deals are done. We don't really know. Obviously, everything's speculation and talks at the moment in the summer window. I just like having conversations with you guys about your thoughts and opinions. So now that the Jamie Gittens deal is looking to be done pretty quick, what do you feel that the initial new bid will be around fee-wise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you excited for Jamie Gittens? Do you feel like we desperately need someone on that left-hand side, or do you feel like we could cope with our current wingers we have, being, Neto being able to play both sides, Madueke, Tyreek George, obviously no Sancho, and the uncertainty of Mudryk? I feel like we desperately need to strengthen on that wings. Yes, we've got Esteval Willian coming in after the Club World Cup for that right-hand side and potentially playing centrally on occasion, but I feel like it's a lot of pressure to bring him in and kind of push two wingers over, or even just one winger over, to be predominantly on the left-hand side. So very curious to know your thoughts. I'm actually getting very excited about Gittens. A little bit like I was with Delap. The more you see, the more you hear, the more you talk about it. I was very excited to see Delap play. I was very impressed with his limited minutes, 26 minutes with an assist on his debut against LAFC. Excited to see him play, excited to see him start, excited to see him score his first Chelsea goal, because I don't think it's going to be long until we see that. And I'm getting very much the same sort of vibes as Gittens. High and wide winger, electric pace, fits into a Maresca system, can beat a man, can score a great goal, can assist the team. Very decisive in the final third compared to who we currently have of Noni Madueke. And even Tyreek George, I love him. I think he's going to really kick on this season, but he's still very young. It's a lot of pressure to put on a player like him. So very interested to know your thoughts down below about Jamie Gittens to Chelsea. The Mail Sport have reported breaking: Tottenham, Chelsea and Aston Villa are all showing interest in signing of Garnacho as he prioritises a Premier League stay. Now, this is a left winger that I hope that Chelsea do not go in for. I had a guess a little while ago now, and a few people were saying online that we are going to end up with two left wingers this summer, and it's going to be Gittens and Garnacho. Gittens I'm happy for. Go get me Gittens, and then go get me a Nusa, go get me a Fofana if you're looking to get two on that position to really strengthen the wide areas. Please don't get me a Garnacho, because Manchester United are going to want a big fee, reportedly around 50 to 70 million that they want for Garnacho. I don't know what his wages are like. I know that he wants to stay in the Premier League. A lot of people have voiced their concerns about his attitude, how he could disrupt the team, like behind the scenes, disrupt the sort of team chemistry. I'm not too sure on that personally. I don't know the guy personally. There have been rumours and murmurs that his attitude stinks. Some things he said publicly just seems to have crossed the line in terms of time and a place of when you talk to things. It doesn't look very PR trained for a youngster. He backs himself. I like that. Some people say he's got a massive ego. His idol is Ronaldo. Cool. They're all sort of like outside determining things. As a footballer, yeah, he's got a lot of potential. He's had very good moments. He's also had very inconsistent moments. Whether that's playing in a Manchester United team with the systems he's played in under the different managers, or whether that is just a skill issue at this point because he is still developing. I just really don't want Chelsea to sign Garnacho, and that's on a personal level. I would like to know your thoughts down below about Garnacho to Chelsea. Would you take him? Do you think it's a good signing? Do you think he'd be a good addition? Do you think he strengthens our squad, even coming in alongside someone like Gittens, for example? Very curious to know your thoughts on that. For me personally, I wouldn't touch Garnacho with a barge pole, but that's just me. I feel like he can go on and be a world-class player. Of course, I'm not saying that he isn't, but I just can't picture him in a Chelsea shirt. I can't picture him in an Enzo Maresca system. And even if that happens, I can't see him improving Chelsea in any way. But again, that could just be me being very narrow-minded. Very curious to know your thoughts down below. Ben Jacobs has reported that Strasbourg want to sign Georgi Petrovic permanently. Now, this is a deal that I wouldn't mind seeing happen. I've kind of come to terms with the fact that Chelsea are going to be selling Petrovic this summer. We spoke about it yesterday. There is a gentleman's agreement in place that if someone pays £25 million for Petrovic, then Chelsea are happy to give him the green light to leave. Now, I said yesterday I don't want him to go to another Premier League club. West Ham were sniffing around, were looking interested in Petrovic, and I feel like he will gain a lot of interest across Europe and even in the Premier League. He's young. He had a very good development season last season. 25 million I feel like is a little low for Petrovic. I mean, I'd be happy to take it. That's clearly Chelsea taking the profit on that. That's what they're happy to part ways with. But it kind of makes sense that he goes to Strasbourg. Obviously, we own Strasbourg too, so I don't really know the sort of blurred lines on that. I assume it comes out of Strasbourg's money rather than Chelsea. You're not just selling to yourself at that point. I don't really know the ins and outs of how that would work. However, he was their player of the season last season. Of course, they would want to keep him permanently. And again, if it's legal, we can do it, then I don't see why not, because it just makes sense. He knows the environment, he knows the club, he knows the fans, he knows the team. I'd be more than happy to see him play at Strasbourg permanently rather than going to West Ham or Tottenham or Man United or anywhere else in the Premier League, because he would have absolute world-class games against Chelsea, which is exactly what we don't want to happen, let's be honest. I don't want to see him go. That's the be-all and end-all. A lot of Chelsea fans don't. We want him as our number one, right? You guys want him as a number one. I appreciate that. And it looks like that's not going to happen, unfortunately. So we kind of have to accept it and kind of just swallow the bitter pill, essentially. But if it goes to Strasbourg, that is a sweeter pill to swallow than, again, a Premier League rival. But that's just my opinion, and I would love to know your thoughts down below. Do you think £25 million is enough for Jordi Petrovic to part ways with Chelsea, or would you like to see more money for him? Ben Jacobs has also reported that Chelsea will be opportunistic should Morgan Rogers genuinely become available, even though Aston Villa do not wish to sell, and are looking at other exits to satisfy PSR compliance. Again, very, very interesting. I would absolutely love Chelsea to sign Morgan Rogers. What a player. What a versatile player that Enzo Maresca could really utilise. He's got Premier League experience. He had a very good season last season. He could play as a 10, as a backup for Cole Palmer. He could play on the left. He could play on the right. Yes, they're not his predominant positions. He's mainly down the middle. But I feel like he would be unbelievable. He gets on very well with Cole Palmer. They're very, very good friends outside of football. He is just a talented player. Also, how cool would it look to have two players that do the whole cold celebration in the same team? I just, as a side note. The thing is with Aston Villa is they are dangerously close to breaking PSR. They were last season, they are this season, because I think the split in terms of the financials of that club is just like 90% of what they bring in goes on player wages, which is wild. They invest a lot into the team, a lot into the players. And then, look, rightfully so, they're getting the results on the pitch. They were unlucky to not secure some sort of Champions League football, the back of the last season. But they're doing very well under Emery. They had Champions League season football the season before. They did all right there. They're a good team. They're a good side, and they're always pushing into try and get into that top six and crack that top six consecutively. So look, it works for them. The only sort of con for it is PSR are just sniffing around, going, "Oh, you're getting dangerously close to that line." So we could be in a position where Villa have to sell players. They may have to sell players to satisfy PSR. And if Chelsea are going to be sniffing around going, "Oh, Morgan Rogers, is he available? What sort of price are you looking?" Mate, I think that'd be an unbelievable signing for Chelsea. I could see him in a Chelsea shirt. I could see him fitting in a Maresca system. He would be absolutely class. I don't know how much money Villa would want for him. Maybe they would put the prices up for a lot of their players because, one, they don't want to sell them, but two, it then gets them clear of PSR. But it also, as a Chelsea fan, it's hard to talk about PSR because the comeback is always, Chelsea spent all this money over all these years. You're one of the clubs, the reason PSR's a thing. But at the same time, for clubs like Villa, and all these other clubs, Newcastle specifically, right, where they've been taken over by these owners and they can't even spend money. They've not made a signing in 3 years. They have to get rid of players because of their income and their turnover and the way it's balanced. I think it makes sense to have something along the lines of PSR in the game. It makes sense, right, to make sure that the clubs are not running at a loss every single year. But sometimes in situations like this, you just feel like Aston Villa have done everything they can to invest on the pitch to then get the results, to then bring in more money. But because of the wage side of things, it puts them at a loss or very close to if the other ways of the club don't generate revenue, right? It's just quite sad to see because it forces clubs to sell players when necessarily, obviously they don't want to, but they have to kind of make sure they're running at a loss. It's just a weird scenario to be in 2025, like a current standard of football. But that's just my thoughts. Like I said, I feel like PSR has a place. I feel like they could probably restructure it a little bit to give clubs a bit more leniency or do it over a longer period or whatever. And again, you got like clubs like Chelsea to find loopholes, selling hotels, selling training grounds, selling the women's team, etc. Just to, and then obviously selling players on top, and then you got the income from like genuine revenue as well. General revenue. So I don't know, maybe they could redefine it. But the point being, this isn't a PSR video. The point being, if Morgan Rogers becomes available, Chelsea are interested, and I would love to see that signing. So I'd love to know your thoughts down below on Morgan Rogers to Chelsea. Could you see it happening? If it was a genuine opportunity and he was available, how much would you be willing to pay for Morgan Rogers for Chelsea? Fabrizio Romano has reported that Alfie Gilchrist will leave Chelsea on a permanent deal this summer. This is really sad. It makes sense. It makes sense because I don't see there being a pathway on that right-hand side now, because you've got the likes of Aston, who's been guaranteed a pathway. You've got Gusto and you've got Reece James. It'd be a fourth right back. Alfie Gilchrist is a class player who's going to just go to the very top. Yes, he can play centre-back, but he's stronger on that right-hand side, right? Typically from what we've seen, yes, he can play centre-back. I'm not denying that, right? He can play both of those positions. But I don't see him getting in as a centre-back. I don't see him getting in as a right-back in the current squad standings. So I feel like it makes sense. Ideally, you'd want another loan because we're greedy when we get rid of him. He's a talent. But again, it's not fair on Alfie Gilchrist's development in terms of a player in his career to hold him at a club when realistically he's not got the career going forward at Chelsea who wants to play football. So I feel like it makes sense. Apparently, there's a lot of championship clubs that are heavily interested in someone like Alfie Gilchrist. And to be fair, he's one of those players that, of course, we'd love to have seen him play for Chelsea. And when we've seen him play for Chelsea, he loves it. He loves the club. Obviously, scoring his goal for Chelsea, you could see the passion. It doesn't look like it's going to happen. Of course, he will be profit on the books, which is obviously good for the whole PSR side of things. Outside of that, the emotional side of it, we don't want to see him go, of course. But I think it'd be very good for both parties to kind of cut ties. Gilchrist can go on, develop his career, get a lot of first-time football, first-team football, develop him and go on. I wish him well. I want him to have a really good career. If he can't make it at Chelsea, I still want him to go on and have a really good career. And be very interesting to see what sort of value Chelsea see him as and what other clubs are willing to come in for. I think the Championship would be incredible for him. It's a very, very tough league. It's a physical league. There's a lot more games in a calendar year, or across the season, sorry. I think it'd be really, really good for his development. I do think he's a Premier League standard right back / centre back, like defender in general. So maybe a Premier League club comes in for him, but doing a season in the Championship, he will then be put on the map in terms of a lot of clubs wanting him, and his value would go through the roof. But yeah, it's a sad one for me personally. I'm assuming it's a sad one for you guys. Let me know your thoughts down below. Obviously, we don't want to see Alfie Gilchrist go. He is one of our own. However, it looks like that is going to be the case this summer. So I'd love to know your thoughts. Are you sad that this is being announced? Do you feel like he could do well in the Championship? Do you feel like he should go to a Premier League club? Or could he go abroad? How much do you think that Chelsea are going to value him at? I'm very curious to know your thoughts. And lastly, Dean Jones Soccer and Danny Russ 10. So multiple sources have reported that Aston Villa are ready to enter discussions with Chelsea over what it would take to sign Nicolas Jackson this summer, with Unai Emery eyeing a reunion. This is very interesting. I don't personally see Nicolas Jackson going anywhere. However, I do feel like Chelsea would quite happily accept any deal that is profit on Jackson, because we bought him for £32 million, which I still feel is relatively cheap for a striker of his age. Yes, he is still in that development process. We still want him to kick on. We know what he brings to the team. He was very vital last season and the season before in terms of under Poch and Maresca, in terms of what he brought to the team. His pressing and his link-up play. We saw an example against LAFC where he was quite non-existent in that first half, attacking-wise, but he dropped deep. His link-up play was good. His hold-up play was good. The through ball he fed into Neto. That's the type of examples of when he's having a quiet game, he can still impact the game, himself. Unai Emery obviously played with it, managed him as well. Big fan. Now look, Aston Villa, the whole PSR thing, could there potentially be some sort of swap plus cash for Morgan Rogers going one way, Jackson going the other? Could be speculation. And again, I'd love to know your thoughts. This is why I react to headlines, to talk to you guys about it. I think I'm at the stage where if Jackson went and we got a decent fee for him, I'd be like, okay, cool. Makes sense, right? The fans, or a lot of fans, not all, I don't want to marginalise, I don't want to generalise everyone. Some fans are willing to keep backing him. They feel like he's really going to develop, kick on, and do extremely well. And I'm kind of on the fence. I feel like he's definitely got the potential to do it, and I feel like this is the make or break season for him. Because now we've got the Delap coming in. That's the competition. You either raise your game or you fall behind the waistline. If you fall behind the waistline, Chelsea's going to sell you next year anyway. because they're going to look at that and go, Delap's come in and hit the ground running. You've not really developed. If we can get profit, buy. So I'm kind of on the fence of that. Like, this is his make or break season in my eyes, and I'd love to know your thoughts down below about that. But there's a lot of fans that are like, just get rid of him. He's not good enough. Get rid of him. He's not Chelsea standard. Get rid of him. Get someone else in. And I hear it. He's very frustrating to watch. He misses a lot of chances. And again, he does bring a lot to his game without the finishing. And he is a number 9 in Chelsea's book. So, like, he should be finishing things. And I totally agree with that. I feel with you. I'm with you there. Like, he is very frustrating, but he does bring a lot. So I'm kind of on a fence of, like, you know, now we've got Delap. Again, we don't want to kind of sell Jackson and just have Delap on his own, because I feel like, again, someone like Delap who's still developing is a big upgrade, and we've seen that very early on. And I feel like he'll do well in Chelsea's system. He also needs competition, because he's that type of player that's hungry to score goals and do better. But having someone fighting for your position as well, there's a different level of competition that's unlocked. So that's why I'm kind of on the fence, because if we do sell Jackson for profit, amazing. We then have more money to then go buy another striker. Are we going to go for someone like Ekiteke, or are we going to go for... is that the funds that allows us to go for someone like Morgan Rogers? Is that the funds that allows us to go for... was it Voldemade? I think I pronounced that right. You know, another striker in that who is different from Delap and similar to Jackson. So I feel like it asks a lot more questions than it answers. But I thought it was very interesting to see this sprout up, because if Unai Emery wants a reunion, does that mean that Ollie Watkins is potentially out the door for Aston Villa? Does that mean that that could be another player that's up for sale to kind of appease PSR, where Villa would sell for a high price? A club like Chelsea can come buy someone like an Ollie Watkins, have Watkins and Delap in rotation. That would be unbelievable, just thinking about that. And then, you know, they can get someone like Nicolas Jackson, and maybe Unai Emery gets the best out of him. Who knows? But I would love to know your thoughts down below. What are your thoughts about Aston Villa being interested, Unai Emery wanting a reunion with Nicolas Jackson? Would you sell him? Would you keep him? How much do you value him at? Very curious to know your thoughts. And that's all the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one, and I mean that, you are a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail, because you'll enjoy that video too.